Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. I have some great Valentine DIYs that I made for you today, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, this is our first DIY. I found this great love sign at the Dollar Tree, and I thought I could make it a little bit more coastal, more my style. I want to sprinkle some Valentine's Day decorations into my regular decor. I like to do that to give a touch of Valentine's Day without going too crazy. So I'm just trying to get the back off of this. I found that little spatula from the Dollar Tree for the Cricut supplies worked pretty well to get in there. And just going to remove that glitter paper that was inside because that totally doesn't go with my style. Now, a lot of times I've found when I get these glass signs at the Dollar Tree, I can just remove the paint from the inside of the glass with some fingernail polish remover, which is what I'm attempting to do here, but that paint is not going anywhere. I don't really care for the pink. And so I put that aside and I'm going to start working on the background. So I want to replace that glitter background that was there with some burlap. And I just have a scrap of burlap left over from a DIY from Thanksgiving. And I'm just going to glue that onto the background of that sign. I like to buy this burlap at Walmart by the yard. I find that's the cheapest way for me to get it. I probably should have Mod Podged it on there to avoid any stripes, but where it's going to be in the back of my sign, I don't think you're really going to be able to see it. I was just going for quick and easy on all of these projects today. So if you don't have a lot of time, these projects are for you. So once I got it all glued down, I'm just going to cut off the excess burlap around the sides. And you can always do this with a burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree too. You would just have to double it up a little bit, or like the burlap rolls from Walmart as well. So since I kind of took it apart, it's not really going to stay together without a little bit of glue. So I'm just going to put a little hot glue on the inside of the frame and slide that back in with the burlap on there. And the burlap alone gave it a nice like coastal feel, more my vibe. But I really didn't want the pink that I couldn't get off. So instead, I'm just going to go on this side of the glass with my white Sharpie paint pen and just start drawing that on using the existing letters as a guide. It was pretty easy to kind of just try to cover up the pink that was there with that white, and I think that gives it a whole new vibe. I really like the red and the white. I'm using that a lot for my Valentine decor. Once I get it all on there, I do go over it again just to make sure that that's a solid white. It looks a little bit less streaky. I love these Sharpie paint pens. I have a set of paint pens that I got on Amazon that I love, but I always run out of white, and so I love these. I got these at Target. And then once I get it on there, I'm just going to go in with a sanding block and try to sand off some of the paint on the corners just to give it a more rustic vibe and to show some white through. And I really like the effect that gave me. And I'm going to show you how it looks here on my shelf, kind of sprinkled in with my existing coastal decor. I think it turned out really cute and very nautical. Okay, here's our next DIY. I got this great sign at Goodwill for 99 cents. And I am going to cover that with that love fabric. If you're not so lucky to find a good thrift find, you can use this sign from the Dollar Tree. It's 8x8, and it would work perfect for this project as well. So I'm just going to remove the tag, and I'm going to cover it with this great fabric that I made in my recent sublimation video. I will post a link below to this image that I designed. If you are not set up for sublimation, you can always print it out on paper or cardstock and do the same thing because we're just going to Mod Podge it onto this sign. And when I was using some fingernail polish there to remove the adhesive, I found that it took off most of the color on the front of that sign too. So win-win, I went for that. But then I'm going to just cover the rest of it with just some ivory acrylic paint, just because I don't want you to see any of that design through my fabric when I attach it to the front of this sign. And this has like a really rustic frame, which I really love, so I'm going to kind of leave that alone, but I just want to cover it with my fabric. So there's kind of a small groove between the frame and the front of the sign, and so I'm using that to my advantage by just putting an ink pen in there and kind of drawing out where I need to cut my fabric. And I love this fabric that I made. Isn't it pretty? So fun. And then I'm just going to cut out the fabric to fit on the front of our frame, and we're going to have a really easy little coastal Valentine's Day sign for my decor. So to attach it, we're just going to use some Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. I really like the matte Mod Podge. That's the one I usually try to pick up. So I'm just going to do a thin layer of Mod Podge all over and set my fabric down on top and smooth it out. And I like to use my little Cricut brayer to make sure it is good and flat. And then I'm going to go over the top of the fabric with more Mod Podge to seal that on. I love Mod Podge. I use it for everything. It's so versatile. And then I'm just going to trim up any little excess strings I have hanging out because it does fray. Wanted to decorate it a little bit, and look at these great sequin hearts I got at the Valentine section at the Dollar Tree. They're so pretty. They're like that sequence that you can like push the wrong direction, it turns colors. And they're made out of fabric, so I'm just going to hot glue that fabric onto my existing fabric here just to give a little Valentine bling to our sign. Then I was thinking it needed something, so I decided to frame it out with some of this decorative nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. This is kind of the thinner 9-foot one, and I am just going to glue that all around the edges of our sign, just in one big piece. And that gives me my final little coastal vibe that I want for this DIY. So today we're going to make a total of 6 Valentine DIYs, all with a little touch of coastal maybe. And they're all super easy. Just some nice Valentine DIYs for me to sprinkle in. And this is how the love sign turned out. Isn't it cute? I love that. The boat with a little heart on it. So much fun. Okay, here's our next easy DIY. I want to make some Cupid's Arrows. And dowels were really expensive, so I decided to use some of these like marshmallow hot dog sticks from the Dollar Tree and just cut them. So I'm not really measuring or anything. I am just going to use my little miter scissors. I get these on Amazon and I love them, but you can probably cut through with some powerful scissors if you don't have those. So I'm just going to cut 3 pieces out of 2 of those. Then I'm going to stain them with some antique wax by Waverly just to make them look a little bit better. Just going to go over the whole thing with a makeup sponge and then follow that up with just a paper towel to wipe off the excess. And we have our little stained pretend dowels. Then I wanted some feathers for the end of my arrow, so I got this package of feathers from the Dollar Tree. It's assorted colors, and they're not great feathers, but I think I can make it work. So I'm just going to grab 2 of the biggest red ones and just use 1 for each one of the 2. I'm going to have 2 arrows like with feathers up and 1 with the point up is my plan. And so I am just attaching that with hot glue, just 1 feather on each Cupid arrow. And this one was a little crazy, so I'm just going to kind of fix that by trimming it up a little bit. They're not great feathers, but hey, they're from the Dollar Tree. So to make that look a little better, I'm just going to take some twine from the Dollar Tree, hot glue that on, and wrap that around just to kind of give that little Cupid's arrow like more of a finished touch. And we have 2 of our arrows done. Now for the next one, I thought a heart would be really cute for the tip of our Cupid's arrow. So I'm using these little red hearts from the Dollar Tree and just gluing 2. 1 on each side of the dowel And I think that's going to work out perfectly. Now we need something to put our Cupid's arrows in. So I'm going to use this vase that I got on clearance at the Target dollar spot. It was Christmas, but you can't tell it's red and white, right? But you could always easily paint just a little bit of red on the bottom of a white pot from the Dollar Tree if you can't find it. And then I wanted to decorate it a little bit, and I got these great little Cupid wood stickers from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to paint one of those with Crimson Chalk Paint by Waverly and hot glue that on to the front of that vase just to give a little bit more Cupid vibes to this DIY. Now, I thought it needed maybe a little something more, and so I do go in with that same twine from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put a little around the top of the vase just to give me a little bit more of a coastal feel. So I'm just going to put a dot of hot glue on the back and my twine and just wrap it around a couple of times just to give one more little nautical touch to our DIY. Looking good. So now all I'm going to do is just put my little pretend arrows in the vase, 2 feathers up and 1 tip up. And I think this turned out really sweet. What do you think? So cute. Okay, next DIY. I'm going to use one of these jumbo foam hearts from the Dollar Tree. I've never used one of these before. I was a little intimidated by the size, but I am going to paint the back of it with just some ivory acrylic paint just to give it more of a finished feel because I plan to cover the other side of the heart with roses. So I put that on there, and I do use my heat gun to dry it, but very carefully because I was not wanting to melt my styrofoam. Okay, it's time for roses. I'm going to use these felt roses that I got at Dollar Tree. I picked up 6 packages of these, hoping that would be enough, and it was almost perfect. So I'm just going to start hot gluing those on to our heart. I found that half of them are large and half of them are small. I kind of thought they were all going to be the same size, but we'll just work with it, and I'm just going to alternate. So small, large, small, large. And I'm just working from the tip of our heart and trying to work all the way up to the top, just alternating the different sizes. And I plan to cover the entire heart with these roses, just kind of in stripes like that. Just trying to figure out how I can get this all covered. I just want like a giant heart to sit on my shelf, and I really love how this turned out. So for the sides of that first line, I'm just going to kind of mirror what I did on the first line and just alternate small, large, and kind of push them in together. I want to make sure that I don't have any of that styrofoam visible. And I probably could have used one more rose at the end, but I think it turned out actually really, really cute. And I used to have a smaller version of like maybe a paper rose kind of like this, and it kind of gave me the inspiration for this. And so once I get one side done, I'm just going and doing this same thing on the other. These things are really easy to hot glue on. At the end, I kind of was left with some odd sizes. So I'm just trying to use what I've got to fill in the empty spaces around the top of my heart. And it ends up not perfectly symmetrical, but it's pretty close. Isn't that cute? I love how this project turned out. These felt roses are really nice quality. I do end up moving a couple of roses around here at the end. That great big one that I put on top, I thought that would look better over on the side to kind of make it more balanced. So I just pull it off and move it. And then use that smaller one to fill in the little gap I have there still on the top. And there we have it. Super easy DIY. We have our felt rose heart for our shelf. And this is how it looks in my living room. It's so cute. Okay, the next DIY is going to be a sailboat. So I got this great little sailboat kit, the toy department at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it would be fun to make a little heart sailboat, kind of like the inspiration piece, that heart boat that we already made. So the kit is pretty easy. Here are all the pieces that it comes with. And it comes with pretty basic directions there on the back of the package. I thought I would take it up a notch though and stain it with some antique wax by Waverly with just a little makeup sponge just to make it look a little bit better than just a little, wood kit from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm just going to stain all of my pieces like on the sides that will be visible and then just wiping off the excess antique wax with a paper towel. And I'm glad this didn't have a lot of pieces and wasn't a very intricate build because it was pretty easy to put this together. It did come with the kit with the sails and a little bit of wood glue, but I'm just going to use hot glue just for speed. So just staining all of those pieces. And I really hope you're enjoying these easy Valentine DIYs today. If you are, please take a moment to hit that like button, comment below your favorite project, and don't forget to hit subscribe. So pretty easy. This little piece goes on the back, so I'm just going to hot glue that on. And then in front of that is the little cabin piece. And I'm just going to glue that down. They don't really matter if you get them on there perfectly, but I'm just cleaning up any excess hot glue that I have there and gluing the cabin down. Now the larger dowel goes into that. It's got little holes cut into it. So I'm going to glue that down inside that hole. And then the other little wood dowels there stick out the front and the back. I had a little trouble getting the shorter one was supposed to go on this side, getting it to go in that hole. It didn't really want to go in there. So I find that it fit better on the other side. So this side fit really easily. So what I did was I just glued them in opposite because the holes seem to be drilled better that way. And even though I already glued down that wood dowel, I'm just going to try to turn it around and problem solved. So once you get that together, it comes with a string and you put the string through the hole on the top. Then you take that down and you you tie that onto the end of each one of those little dowels here. I'm just going to double knot it and cut off the excess, pull that taut, and then knot it on the other one as well. And we have our little structure for our little Valentine sailboat we're going to make today. And it also comes with the sails, and it says just to glue those onto the string. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use hot glue on the string and put our first sail down. They're a little wrinkled, and you could always replace this with a different kind of fabric if you want, but I thought it would be okay. So just gluing both of those down to the strings. Then to make it a little bit more taut in one piece, I do glue it down to the little wooden dowel here on the bottom and kind of pull that tight just to give a little bit more structure to our little sailboat. I think it is turning out really sweet. And I wanted to decorate it with a heart like our boat from our Love Heart Boat project. So I'm going to use one of these little felt red hearts from the Dollar Tree. And they have adhesive backing, and just going to stick that to the sail of our boat. I did wonder if I should use two, but I decided one was more. So we're just going to go with one heart, and this is how it looks sitting in front of one of my other little sailboats. So I think that's a nice little touch of Valentine's Day. Okay, up next, I'm going to use one of these little Valentine delivery trucks from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make it my own little coastal style. So I want to work on the back, so I'm just removing that tag that was there. Then I'm going to go over the whole little red truck with some of this crimson chalk paint by Waverly. It's kind of a darker shade of red and kind of a color I've used a lot today with our DIY, so I think that will look really good. Going over the whole back. It dripped a little, so I'm going to go around and do the sides as well, just to give it a more finished look. And I didn't really do a great job of getting the adhesive off, so I do have to go over the back of that with a couple coats of that crimson chalk paint. Then I'm just going to kind of use the other side as a guide to try to draw my truck on. I'm just going to draw a window, kind of like draw a door. This is just a fine white paint pen. Then I'm going to use my black paint pen and just paint back on some tires. Super easy. And I want to make I want this to be like Valentine's Day, but I also want it to be like fitting with my coastal decor. So I'm going to go on here and paint the truck of the delivery truck, the bed with the message I want to put on there, and I'm going to put Cupid's fish market on there. I thought that would be cute. Bring in Cupid a little bit. I know I've made his arrows. And then bring in fish market because it's kind of like, a fish market delivery truck. And that will go with my coastal vibe. So I did Cupids in my best Ray Dunn font. Fish market, I'm just kind of doing just a printing on there. And trying to get that as good as possible. If you want it to be perfect, you can always use your Cricut. Then I'm just trying to find a couple more pieces to decorate that with from the Dollar Tree. And I really want Cupids to stand out a little bit more, so I'm just going to go over that with another coat of that paint pen. And I'm going to use that little arrow, and I want to decorate it a little bit. But first, I thought a fish would be great too. And I have this little wooden fish from the Dollar Tree. It's really large, but I thought maybe I could put it on top. What I decided to go with is that little wood Cupid sticker from the Dollar Tree, a wooden arrow sticker from the Dollar Tree, and this great little floppy fish from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to go over all of them with just some ivory acrylic. I did have to paint a few times on that fish because there was some writing on the tail, and I took several coats to get that covered. And then it's got all the little bendy areas, so I did have to go in and make sure that I got all the paint out of those to clean it up. And then just using a makeup sponge on the little stickers from the Dollar Tree. I love those wood stickers from the Dollar Tree. It's such an easy way to customize your projects. I know that fish is really big, so I'm just going to put that on the top of my truck. And I want to just stress it a little bit just because my paint job was not perfect. So I'm just going to go over with a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree and some ivory chalk paint and distress that a couple of times, following that up with just a baby wipe to take off any of the excess. So I'm going to put the little arrow, heart arrow here on the bottom. And then the little Cupid on the back there. I have a little bit of space. I thought that goes great with my Cupid. I still wasn't super happy with how that looked, so I'm going over with my big Sharpie paint pen and making that a little bit more vivid. Then I'm just going to glue our little fishy to the top of our fish market truck, and I think he turned out really cute. I wanted one more touch, so I'm going to take one of those wood hearts from the Dollar Tree, paint it crimson as well, and I'm just going to put that on the front of our fish to give a little another touch of Valentine's Day to this DIY, and I think it turned out really cute. And this is how it looks on my shelf. Okay, you guys ready for the final reveal? Let's do it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here